That's it for Madrid. I'm so grateful for my time here. I will be back stronger. Alex Eala's road to the French Open is heating up, and she's not slowing down anytime soon.
The clay confession, Alex Eala's Madrid Rollercoaster, and the road to glory that waits.
Despite her talent, she faced 3 consecutive early exits in Linz, Stuttgart, and Madrid. It is a grueling stretch for any professional.
Welcome back to Champions Tennisitics, the channel where we don't just report the news, we feel every single point, every grunt, every breath of it with you. And today, my friends, we are talking about a story that has the entire tennis world watching with wide eyes, wide hearts, and trembling anticipation. We are talking about one of the most compelling, most electric, most beloved young athletes on the planet right now.
Play, do you think, for you and your game that makes it maybe a little bit more tricky than hardcourt, for example?
Well, I grew up on hardcourt, so not.
We are talking about Alex Eala, the Filipina lioness, and the complicated, bruising, yet somehow still beautiful chapter that was her 2026 Madrid Open campaign.
Hello mga kapong Pinoy, maraming salamat sa suporta. Maraming salamat sa pagsubaybay sa mga laban ko at magkita tayo sa next round.
Let's set the scene. It's late April. The clay season is in full swing. The Spanish capital is draped in red dust and ambition, and the Mutua Madrid Open is ready to crown its legends. And walking into this cathedral of competition is a 20-year-old girl from the Philippines, ranked number 44 in the world, armed with nothing but talent, fire, and the collective prayer of an entire nation.
That's it for Madrid. I'm so grateful for my time here. I will be back stronger. Alex Eala's road to the French Open is heating up, and she's not slowing down anytime soon.
This isn't just tennis. This is a movement. On Wednesday, April 22nd, Alex Eala opened her Madrid campaign against Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova at the Estadio Aranxa Sanchez Vicario, and she was clinical. The scoreline? A dominant 6-3, 6-3, wrapped up in just 1 hour and 31 minutes. Now, let's not sleep on who Pavlyuchenkova is. This is an Olympic mixed doubles gold medalist we're talking about. A seasoned veteran. A player who has been in the trenches of Grand Slams and big stages for years. And Eala walked onto that clay court and absolutely dismantled her. She controlled the match from the baseline with composure and shot placement, won 68% of her first serves and 76% of those points, limiting unforced errors and winning in the longer rallies. That's not lucky. That's surgical. That's a player who knows exactly what she's doing and exactly who she is becoming. After the win, Eala stepped to the microphone and told the crowd, first in English, then switching to Spanish, "I feel really great. I love Madrid, and it's an amazing tournament. Every time that I come here, I feel so comfortable and at home." And you know what? She means that. Madrid has a special place in Eala's story. It was here, back in 2024, that she secured her first main draw victory at a WTA 1000 event, planting her flag on the world stage for the very first time. This city is where her professional fairy tale truly began to take shape, and coming back to it this year felt like a homecoming. Even if the red clay was about to test her in ways no one quite expected. Because here's where the story takes its turn. Round 2. The opponent? 19th-seeded Belgian veteran Elise Mertens, ranked 21st in the world. And the result was punishing. Eala suffered a 6-2, 6-1 defeat, losing her serve 5 times and unable to land a single break on Mertens, winning only 38 of the 99 points played. The scoreline was brutal. There's no way to sugarcoat it. And if you just looked at those numbers in isolation, you might think disaster. You might think collapse. But hold on, because Champions Tennisitics doesn't deal in surface readings.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with mentality because common struggle or common experiences has to do with the mental side of being an athlete.
We go deeper. First, the context. Eala had also been beaten 6-1, 6-4 by Leylah Fernandez in the first round at the Stuttgart Open the week before, and had started her clay campaign at the WTA 500 in Linz, where she beat Julia Grabher before falling to Jelena Ostapenko. So yes, the clay season has been rough. 3 tournaments, 3 early exits in singles. The scorelines have been lopsided. The critics are sharpening their pens. And for the first time in what feels like a while, the narrative around Eala isn't pure celebration. It's scrutiny. But here's what I need you to understand, and I need you to really sit with this. Eala is a 20-year-old, technically still 20, turning 21 in May, navigating the most physically demanding, mentally exhausting stretch of the WTA calendar on a surface that has historically been her most challenging. Clay courts have not been the most productive surface for Eala in the formative stages of her career. The red dirt demands a completely different physical engine than hard court. It punishes players who don't slide correctly, who don't have that baseline grinding endurance baked into their legs. And Eala, trained in the Rafa Nadal Academy, yes, but still building that clay court DNA, is learning in real time against real elite competition. And you know what? The people who actually understand this game are saying exactly that. Former world number 4 Greg Rosetsky didn't come out swinging against her. He came out with perspective. He said, "The losses she takes are not bad losses. It's sometimes the scorelines. And this is part of the learning experience. She's too good a player, she'll figure it out." And what I like is her resilience. She's got a great team of people around her, and she's got to find solutions. This is Greg Rosetsky, a man who has seen hundreds of careers bloom and fade. And his message about Eala is, be patient, because the ceiling here is extraordinary. He had also said, not long before Madrid, that Eala is on a trajectory where her serve needs refinement, where big hitters can still blow her off the court sometimes, but where the raw materials are undeniable. She's going to get stronger physically, she's going to get more tactically astute, she's going to start hitting the ball harder, he said. And when you listen to Rosetsky talk about her, it's not like someone managing expectations downward. It's like someone describing a stock right before it explodes. He sees the floor is high and the ceiling is limitless. Now let's talk about something that genuinely has people upset, and rightfully so. The Madrid Open chose not to place Eala on one of the main courts for her second-round match against Mertens. She had opened the tournament on the Aranxa Sanchez Stadium, but was moved to court 5 for round 2, noticeably limiting the crowd she's used to drawing. And Eala is undoubtedly one of the biggest stars in women's tennis. She's yet to win a tour-level title or break into the top 20, but attracts massive crowds wherever she plays, with Filipino fans from around the world traveling to support her at every tournament. Think about that. One of the most crowd-drawing players in the women's game. A player whose matches regularly sell out sessions, whose Filipino fanbase is one of the most passionate and vocal in all of tennis, was stuck on a secondary court while her match against a seeded opponent deserved a main stage spotlight. While there's no way of knowing if it would have changed the result, being in front of a larger crowd might have helped her stay more competitive during tough spells against Mertens. And that is a legitimate conversation to have, because atmosphere matters. Energy matters. When Eala plays in front of thousands of screaming, flag-waving Filipino supporters, she elevates. Everyone who has watched her knows it. The Madrid Open did her dirty on that one, and the tennis world noticed. But through all of it, the lopsided scores, the court snub, the pressure, what does Alex Eala do? She posts on Instagram, "That's it, Madrid. So grateful for my time here. We'll be back stronger." That's it. No drama. No excuses. No victim mentality. Just a warrior acknowledging the battlefield and promising to return with more. That right there is the character that has made the entire tennis world fall in love with this girl. She doesn't break. She bends, she absorbs, and she comes back. Now, let's zoom out for a second and appreciate just how extraordinary Alex Eala's rise has been. Because sometimes in the day-to-day grind of tournament results, we lose sight of the bigger picture. Alexandra Eala was born on May 23, 2005 in Quezon City, Philippines. In 2020, at just 14 years old, she won the Australian Open Junior Doubles title. A year later, she captured the Roland Garros Junior title. In 2022, she made history by winning the US Open Junior Singles title, becoming the first Filipina to claim a Grand Slam title in any junior category. She didn't sneak into tennis. She announced herself to the world as a teenager and has been making history at every single turn since. On March 16th of this year, she reached world number 29, a career high, and the highest ranking ever achieved by a Filipino player in WTA Tour history. Let that sink in. The highest ranked Filipino in the history of women's professional tennis. That's not a footnote. That's a landmark. She entered March 2026 at number 32, more than 100 places above where she stood this time last year at number 140. The ascent has been meteoric. 12 months ago, she was 3 digits. Now she's fighting seeded players at WTA 1000 events. The trajectory is almost violent in how steep it is. And the 2026 season, even before the clay nightmare, was already filled with breakthrough moments. She was a semi-finalist at the ASB Classic in Auckland, reached the quarterfinals at the Abu Dhabi Open and the Dubai Championships, and advanced to the round of 16 at the Indian Wells Open. Then came Dubai, where she did something that made the tennis internet lose its mind. She dispatched world number 8 Jasmine Paolini 6-1, 7-6 in the third round of the Dubai Championships in February 2026. 6-1 against a top 10 player. 6-1. If you weren't a believer before that match, you had no choice but to convert afterward. And at Miami, in what was already a special hunting ground for her, the same venue where a couple of years ago, she became the first Filipina to reach the semi-finals of a WTA 1000 tournament. She kept pushing, kept grinding, playing one of the longest matches of her young career. Eala played her longest match so far in the 2026 Miami Open against Laura Siegemund, a battle lasting 3 hours and 20 minutes. 3 hours and 20 minutes. On hard court, against a big, experienced German opponent. That's not a girl who wilts under pressure. That's a competitor who puts her body on the line and refuses to surrender. So when we look at the clay results this month and see the rough scorelines, what we're actually watching is a player whose greatest weapon, her mental and physical resilience on hard court, hasn't yet fully translated to a surface that demands an entirely different kind of warfare. And she knows it. After being asked in Miami how she prepares for bigger, stronger players, Eala was strikingly self-aware. You could argue that everything I do is to prepare myself for those players. I'm in the process of still getting stronger. But I think I have different, other strengths as well, not just power. Different layers to my game. She's not delusional about the gaps, and she's actively closing them. Now here's where it gets really exciting, because Alex Eala's Madrid campaign wasn't entirely about singles heartbreak. In doubles, she and Turkish partner Zeynep Sönmez kicked off their campaign with a 6-2 victory against the Taiwanese-Hungarian duo of Chan Haoqing and Fanny Staller. Clean, dominant, electric. And then in the doubles round of 16, they fell to the tournament's second-seeded pair of Katerina Siniakova and Taylor Townsend. Now, Siniakova is currently the #1 doubles player on the planet, and Townsend is a Grand Slam doubles champion in her own right. Losing to that duo is not a shameful exit. And when you account for both her singles and doubles contributions, Eala walked away from Madrid with €47,195, roughly 3.3 million Philippine pesos, in prize money. Her doubles ranking also surged from number 101 to 87, a new career high. She left Madrid not empty-handed. She left with cash, ranking points, and a lesson that will feed her future. So what's next? Because this story is far from over. In fact, it feels like we're only in the first act of something much, much larger. Eala immediately turns her attention to the Catalonia Open, a WTA 125 event running from April 27th to May 3rd at the Club de Tenis La Bisbal Center Esportiu in La Bisbal de Empordà, Spain. This is essentially a stepping stone, a challenger-level event where she can rebuild confidence, find her clay court rhythm, and rack up ranking points in a more forgiving draw. She enters as the second seed with an aim to win her second WTA 125 title, having previously won the Guadalajara Open last year with a dramatic comeback victory. The Catalonia draw is competitive. Among the players she'll face are world number 25 Leylah Fernandez, the same Fernandez who just beat her in Stuttgart, along with two-time Grand Slam singles champion Barbara Krejcikova, reigning champion Dalma Galfi, Laura Siegemund, and Xin Yuang, who defeated Eala in the Auckland semifinals. This is not a soft field, but Eala goes in seeded, motivated, and with a chip on her shoulder the size of the Philippines. A tournament win here would do wonders for her confidence and her ranking heading into the home stretch of clay season. Because after Catalonia, she heads to Italy for 2 more stops. First, the Italian Open, a WTA 1000, where she'll look to improve on last year's first-round exit, and then another challenger event in Parma, where she holds the 3rd seed spot. And after all of that, After the sweat and the clay stains and the late nights and the early mornings, all of it feeds into her build-up for the French Open in Paris, running from May 24th to June 7th, her 5th Grand Slam appearance as a professional. And here's the beautiful mathematical reality of where she stands. Eala has just 70 ranking points to defend from the entirety of the French Open period, which means almost every win she picks up from here to Roland Garros is a net gain. If she can accumulate 5 or 6 wins on clay over the next few weeks, that could be enough to fire her back into the top 30. With the top 20 on the agenda, if she can have a deep run at any of the 1,000 level events, or, especially, at Roland Garros itself, the math is on her side. The opportunity is wide open. The question is simply whether the clay surfaces of Europe decide to cooperate with her timeline. And you know what else matters here? The conversation around her keeps growing. Eala's appearance on Andy Roddick's Served podcast recently drew a massive reaction, with Roddick himself calling it a lesson in self-awareness. A lesson in self-awareness from Andy Roddick, who interviewed everybody who mattered in his era and beyond. When a former world #1 looks at a 20-year-old and says she stands out for how deeply she understands herself and her game, that means something. That's not a compliment handed out casually. That's recognition of rare maturity. There is something almost poetic about Alex Eala's clay season right now. She came into 2026 having already rewritten Philippine sports history, having already beaten top 10 players, having already made crowds in Dubai, Indian Wells, and Miami stop and stare. And now clay, the surface that once destroyed even Serena Williams in her early years, that took Novak Djokovic years to master, that humbled dozens of all-time talents. Clay is presenting itself as the final frontier, the last dragon to slay. And Eala is lacing up her boots and heading toward it anyway. She trained at the Rafa Nadal Academy, the spiritual home of clay court mastery. She is coached by Joan Bosch. She is surrounded by people who believe in the vision. And the woman herself, multilingual, speaking English, Spanish, and Filipino, comfortable in Madrid's crowd as if it were her own backyard, shaped by years of grind from the ITF circuit to the WTA's biggest stages, is not someone who stays down. She has never been someone who stays down. So let's not mourn the Madrid scorelines. Let's not let the narrative become Eala's struggles on clay. Because the fuller, truer, more accurate story is this. A 20-year-old from Quezon City who became the first Filipina to crack the WTA top 30, who has beaten 3 top 10 players in her career, who plays to sold-out crowds on 4 continents, and who responded to a tough week in Spain by posting 2 words, back stronger, is someone who knows exactly where she's going. She's not lost. She's not in crisis. She is, simply, still becoming. And Roland Garros is waiting. Paris is waiting. The red clay of Philippe Chatrier is waiting for the moment Alex Eala walks through those gates and announces to the world that the learning is done, the apprenticeship is over, and the era has officially begun. If you are watching right now and you believe in this girl, and if you're here, you absolutely do, then you are watching history in slow motion. Not the kind that reveals itself in one blinding moment, but the kind that builds and builds until one day you look back and realize you were there for all of it. Every tournament, every heartbreak, every comeback. You were right here on Champions Tennisitics with the best tennis community on the internet. So don't you dare go anywhere. Hit that like button right now. It takes 1 second and it tells the algorithm that this story deserves to be seen. Drop a comment below. Do you believe Eala can go deep at Roland Garros this year? I want to hear your prediction. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you even doing? Hit that subscribe button, turn on the notifications, and be part of the Champions Tennisitics family. Because we are not missing a single chapter of the Alex Eala story. Not one. See you in the next one.
That's it for Madrid. I'm so grateful for my time here. I will be back stronger. Alex Eala's road to the French Open is heating up, and she's not slowing down anytime soon.
Here's the moment Alex beat a former world #11 on clay.